How you doing, guys? It's Dan, and in today's video I want to talk about how a priest asked me how the hell did I start a pressure washing business, well, and a window cleaning business too. And he didn't use the word hell either, by the way. So the weekend I was visiting some family friends. The guy happens to be a priest, and he asked the question, how did you learn about window cleaning and pressure washing? So it got me thinking, if I was completely brand new, which I was when I first started doing exterior cleaning, how would I go about learning about this industry? So, okay, already sold a small window cleaning business, very, very small, but I'm basically building one again. And the way that I came into the business was a little bit by luck. It was pretty much, let's give this a go. So I was literally just sitting in my front room when I still had a normal corporate job. I was working at a company called Land Rover, Jaguar Land Rover. It's like a maintenance person there. You could say it's a manual type of job, like fixing machinery, but it is in that sort of corporate environment. So it's quite professional and all that type of thing. So this might be interesting for you if you're looking to quit your professional job and get going and start your own business. So yeah, I was literally just sitting in my front room, and I saw my local competitor, as it happens now. They were cleaning some windows in my road, and I thought, you know what? Let me get my windows cleaned. And I went out to them, and it was such an effort to get the windows cleaned. I thought, blimey, I could do a better job, or I could make it a lot easier. That's how it happened, and that was 5 years ago. So I've learned a little bit since then. So yeah, the priest, he says, so how did you learn? And I thought that was a really, really good question. And his next question was, did somebody show you? And I thought, oh, that's really smart. So like a priest, they get they study theology, they study about the Bible, and they will have a mentor or a priest. And I thought, oh wow. So his natural instinct is that if you're going to learn something, you're going to get shown it. So how did I learn it? And here is the things that I would avoid if I was about to learn this particular business from scratch again. So the first thing is, I just had enough of working my normal job, and I thought, let's just give this a go. So I basically went onto YouTube and started consuming content, not like this type of content now, which is more like real, I would say. No, actually it was pretty real. It was a guy called Green Pro Clean, and he would do videos actually quite similar to this if I actually think about it, which is quite nice. And I thought, yeah, I could do this. I heard about direct debit and stuff like this. I thought, yeah, I could do this side of the business. Now, learning the ropes of how to do certain tasks, how to clean certain things, what equipment to buy, all this type of stuff. My next thing was still on YouTube. Luckily, the difference between YouTube and some of the other platforms that you can go to learn information is that you are a little bit more in control of what you are searching for. The downside is that sometimes you don't know what you should be looking for, and you don't even know the things that are useful or aren't useful. One of the mistakes that you often make is buying stuff that you don't need and letting the scope of what you're offering as a business creeping bigger and bigger. So yeah, learning online just by searching, I actually don't think is the best way, but that was the way that I learned. But I would say that's the slowest way. DIY always is the slowest way. The next place that I went to learn information was Facebook groups. Now, I think these are particularly bad because it's basically a community full of beginners in a blind leading the blind type of way. So, not to say that you can't learn anything from these groups, and I have a Facebook group which I'm about to delete, is the fact that when you're learning, you go into these groups, you might post a question and you don't know who is and isn't an expert, and then everyone chimes in on the group, and then it's like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 comments full of basically beginners giving their advice. So I don't think that these places are the best place to learn about, one, the business, and then two, like the trade of it. There's actually quite a few different things that you need to learn about the window cleaning and pressure washing business, as it relates to like the operating of it, like how to actually do the job. There are a few things, a few do's and don'ts. So yeah, the next place that people will go is Facebook. That's the place that I went to, and I think it's particularly bad because it's the blind leading the blind. Also, the added distraction of you have to use social media, and it's another massive source of distraction that you don't need when you're trying to start your business. You just need to block out all that noise really, and just this is what's going to lead me on to the last point. Where do I think the best place to learn is? The best place to learn is with a mentor or a guide, somebody that actually knows the business. That is the best place to start. Now, that's what the priest said. The priest's first thing was, how did you learn about it? And then, did somebody show you? If you became a doctor, you would say, how did you learn about it? They'd say university. And then you'd be like, did somebody show you? And you'd be like, yeah, like you become a junior doctor and you're around expert doctors, and you kind of like learn with an expert over your shoulder, but you learn on the job as well. I don't see how it's any different for starting a business. There's so much to know when you start a business that I just don't see how having by just trying to do everything yourself is a good strategy. So having a mentor. Now, there are different types of mentors. Over the years, I've done various courses and programs where I've done like just general business programs that are loosely like just business principle based. But if I was going to do it all again, the best place to learn would be with someone who's actually done what you want to do. So someone who's actually in the business that can show you the ropes. Now, what I would say is there are different people out there, and I've been various people over the years. So I've been a not wanting to take responsibility person to taking responsibility person. And just by having someone who's a mentor or doing a program, I think it's important to remember that there are basically no guarantees with everything. So there's no guarantees that just because you buy a piece of equipment, it guarantees your success, or just because you buy like an online course or you do a mentorship with a mentor, it doesn't mean that you are going to be guaranteed anything. So the two main areas that I think are important to highlight is that first off, the best way to learn something is with a mentor. That's what I believe. And something, if you can do it one-on-one, is probably the best bet that I would say. But the item to remember is that there's no guarantees, and you need to put in the personal effort, and you personally need to understand and solve the small bottlenecks that are happening within your business. So to me, a mentor is somebody that is literally just going to steer you in the right direction. So they're going to help you define what you want. So for example, for me at the moment, I have a pressure washing business and a window cleaning business. We make equipment as well. As it pertains to our cleaning business, Squeaky, we want to grow the recurring side of our business, which is window cleaning. So when I see the person that's guiding me, Mark, his job, in my opinion, is I let him know what the objectives are, what I'm working on. And as somebody who's like the senior doctor, essentially, if I'm like a junior doctor, his role, in my view, is to literally just go, okay, Daniel, I can see which way you're steering. I'm just going to adjust your direction here. Or don't go in that route. I wouldn't do that. And that's the role of a mentor. But in order to learn the most efficiently, I think that you just have to understand that there's no guarantees. I've done courses in the past. I've done courses that I've not finished as well, and I thought the act of doing the course was going to get me the result, not knowing that it's basically linked to the personal effort, and it's going to take a lot more effort than you actually think it's going to take, and it's going to involve solving the bottlenecks in your business. It's not like they're not always going to be able to give you the exact blueprint. There's a lot of learning that has to happen on a personal level too. So yeah, the dinner with the priest. So if I was starting again, he gave me two good questions. How did you learn, and did someone show you? The worst way to start is just doing it all by yourself. Second worst, probably actually the worst, is Facebook and Facebook groups where it's the blind leading the blind. And then the best is a mentor. But as long as you've got your mind right and you understand that it's like personal responsibility and it's going to be a personal commitment, you still got to solve problems in your business. They don't just give you absolutely everything. You still got to run the actual business. They're just there to guide you along the way, keep you on track, and make sure that you don't make some really big obvious mistakes. And that's it. That's how I'd learn. Peace.